My name is Eric Anang, and the grandson of Kanekwe. Kanekwe happens to be the initiator of design coffins in Ghana. Yeah, growing up as a kid in the Kanekwe carpentry workshop, when I hear people saying, like fantasy coffin, I was a little, like, hey, this is not fun. For us, until, I kind of got into the art. Then I really understood because people would come, though they've lost a dear one, but of course they want to do something that would, like people, that would call the attention of people, that would honor the person.
Right.
And I wouldn't like to talk about this, but it's also part of the tradition because during my grandfather's time, you wouldn't see a family coming in to order for a coffin in the form of a beer bottle or
Sure.
a cigarette.
Right.
But in my time now, you do have a couple of families who would come and say, "Oh, this guy was, he was very well known for smoking, and we would like to make a coffin in the form of a cigarette," or he was, working with a brewery, so we would like to make a coffin in the form of a beer bottle for him. So, in terms of style, I think it's pretty much changed. Usually, an example is during my grandfather's time, a family would come and they would say, "We want a coffin in the shape of a Mercedes Benz," and the reason would be because the person is wealthy. But now someone would come and say, "Oh, he actually loves this car, and we want to make one for him," or he owns a car. So the purpose wouldn't be purposely because he was wealthy, but
Hmm.
it is because he loves that car or because he owns one for
Okay.
himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more of a personal relationship with the motif rather than a reflection of their status?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's how it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
And, coming to the motives,
So Eric, just to continue our discussion of how different people use motifs differently, we've talked about chiefs and landowners and priests and individuals without any sort of specific background. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
yeah. So, the whole idea of design coffins was retrieved through these palanquins, and palanquins are what the chiefs ride in during festivals and derbes. Um, most of the, Ghana chiefs, so many years ago were riding in, palanquins that represent the clan. An
Mm-hmm.
example is the Krobo clan uses the spider as a palanquin. There are some other clans that use cocoa and other stuff. That doesn't mean when the assuming the Krobo clan in Teschie, when the Mankralo dies, he should necessarily be buried in a coffin in the shape of a spider.
Sure. So Eric, let's talk a little bit about how you position your work in relation to your family's past with making coffins, Abebwam Adekai,
Okay, yeah,
and where you would like to see your work go in the future.
yeah. Um, my grandfather being Kanekwe kind of paved a huge, way for me
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, kind of follow. And I thought, I wouldn't be the only person, building design coffin in the family.
Sure.
But of course, it seems it was a little difficult for people to accept the fact that coffins are part of us, and it's just to celebrate, the the life of the deceased. But a lot of people, like I tried a couple of times in Ghana, to bring these beautiful works of art to like restaurants to display them,
Mm-hmm.
or to, like I tried, one time I I looked for a place on the street like at the Opebia around 37, the airport area, to make, like a gallery space. So I would display these beautiful works of art. And, the EMA, crashed that down, and, people around were already...
AMA?
Yeah, Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
Okay.
Crashed that down because, people were like commenting that, he brought coffin around us, and, people are going to die, and, so I felt really very bad with...
So they were uncomfortable with the idea of death?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was pretty much very difficult for me to understand what was going on.
Right.
But I got some opportunities through the Alliance Française and the Goethe Institute, in Ghana, and they allowed me to display my work, and that was, because they see that as a work of art.
Right. You mentioned the Goethe Institute?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I displayed my work there.
Okay.
And people, of course, there were some few Ghanaian, people who showed up, and, they were very happy, and, they wanted to learn more, to know more.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes when I take people to, some Ghanaians to, like a Ga funeral, they'll be like, wow, I don't know this happens,
Right,
with the
right.
coffins, and, they couldn't believe it. But of course, I've been in that for so many years, working with my, father and then the apprentices. I kind of saw a lot of stuff.
Sure.
So I, to bring it to a different level so it doesn't remain being, like celebrating the life of a person, but also to send a message. That was how I got to the stage of, building a coffin in the form of a gun, having a ceremony where we have a lot of people to break the gun into two, to kind of send a message like
UW Madison.
Yeah. Send a message like let's put a stop to gun violence and other stuff.
Right.
And also, growing up as a kid, I'm also very much into environment like deforestation and other stuff.
Sure.
Like some time ago I told you, somebody in my tribe, if we make a falling tree, it means a big person is dead, like somebody very influential in the community is dead.
Right.
But these days we don't have those kind of stuffs again. So I've been really worried about that.
Sure.
So I decided to build this the coffin in the form of
A honeybee and a firefly.
the honeybee and the firefly.
So the firefly, of course, will be a commission here for the University of Ireland Museum of Art, and the honeybee in the exhibition this fall. You've also talked about how urban development in Ghana has affected funerary customs. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, that's really a big thing. So usually ceremonies takes place, like I would say it starts on Thursday. So like on Thursday or Friday, every town, like in Teschie, we present our coffin to the family on Thursday. On Friday morning, we go for the burial. The deceased from the mortuary. Friday morning, we go around, after bringing it from the mortuary, we go to the mother side of the deceased before bringing the body to the father side, where the body is going to be bathed and displayed.
Okay.
Yeah. On Friday, it's wakekeeping, so they bring the coffin from the artists, from the coffin makers on Friday evening or something, and then the body would already be there. Sometimes they display the body in the coffin, or sometimes they display on a bed that was rented or something or hired.
Sure.
But previously, they have the house have the bed for the body and everything there.
Yeah.
So they would just come in and decorate the room, and but these days you won't be able to do that.
So
People
it's
are
shortened the overall timeline for the practice.
Yes. So I would say like a place in Jamestown or something. The coffin comes like the family only sees the coffin Saturday morning. So even if the coffin doesn't suit the deceased, it becomes a bit of a tough time for them. After this exhibition, next year I'm working on a different exhibition in Durham, North Carolina. I did
great.
put in a proposal.
Oh, good.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago. So
Okay.
we're still working on that, and I'm over there. I'm intending to build a coffin in the form of a pangolin.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just recently, there was a news. I mean, I had the idea before, seeing the news
Sure.
a couple of weeks ago
Sure.
about the, extinction of pangolin. I mean, people from Africa, killing them for food and then taking the scale
Right.
and then exporting them to China.
Right.
And of course, I mean, I don't know for what reason, but I'm kind of also going through that and, seeing
Sure.
how that benefits us than the animals. Because I
Right.
think, the I mean, how do you call it? The ecological system is
Sure.
also very important. That's
Sure. Sure.
how we also see the good thing here. I mean, like, okay, so let's take it this way. Me having the opportunity to travel and meet different, like people, I mean, like educated people and other stuffs, I
Sure.
kind of also try to learn as much as I can
Yeah.
from them. So I don't only send or share my culture,
Sure.
but also take part of what they have.
Sure.
And an example was when I started working here, started working in the United States and, like in Europe, when I go there, I try to, because in Ghana I work with gasoline in terms of the painting,
Sure.
which was, which is very harmful to the,
As a solvent, the gasoline?
yeah,
Okay.
as a solvent.
Right.
And my friend Mike DeForest kept telling me, hey, this is really dangerous, and
Oh, yeah.
So once I started traveling, I asked him, hey, I mean, I'm ready to learn, and
Sure.
I
So
would
you used what, an oil-based like enamel paint?
Yeah.
And now you're using acrylic, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So it's basically water-based paint, and I kind of I could use the oil-based paint, but I don't want to. I'm trying to put a stop to
Sure.
the risk. The piece eventually has to sit under the sun for a couple of days or weeks to dry.
Right.
So that's where you would see part of the piece, wood twisting.
Sure.
So then you have to bring it in again, grind it, or use the
Planer.
work on it again, and
Sure.
then put it back there because it's very wet. I mean,
Sure.
we get it directly from the bush. I mean, they are very expensive if you want to get
Kiln dried or?
yeah, kiln dried and
Yeah,
stuff. So
okay.
and of course people don't pay that much money for you to get that kiln dried. And I think wood is a primary good. So
Sure.
me being an artist, it shouldn't be something difficult for me to get because I
Sure.
kind of pay my taxes and other
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
So it should be pretty much
Yeah.
a 50-50 thing. I mean,
Sure. Sure.
yeah, but it's unfortunately it's a little difficult. So I had to like kind of buy from these illegal lumbers,
Oh, okay.
which I don't support. But of course, I mean that would be the only option to keep my art going.
Sure. Okay.
So most of the wood is wet, and it takes quite a lot of time to work on a piece.
You mentioned the name of the wood was Wawa.
Yeah, I use wawa if it's going to be used locally. Wawa
Okay.
or nyamidria
Okay.
if it is going to be used locally. But if I'm exporting it, I have to use a wood that will sustain the weather here.
Oh, sure.
So I use like emery or ofram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And here in the States, you've commonly used pine, right?
Yeah. So the first time I use sugar pine that I got in Oregon,
Okay.
and it was just perfect for my work.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not so common to get sugar pine. So most of the wood I use here is northern white pine,
Okay.
or this very one we
Oh, right.
got,
Southern yellow pine. I
southern
believe.
yellow pine. Yeah.
Good.
Before I used to do the inside fabric, I used to do the sewing myself.
Okay.
But it was a lot of work. I
Sure.
mean, to do that. So I have somebody I give to who sews. That is Charles Niaji Glue, and then Dennis Ablo
Okay.
that I showed you in the photo.
Sure.
And then I have my painter, my sign writer,
Sure.
who comes to do the detail work.
Oh, okay.
That is David Ajete.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
have someone that does the overall color application, then a separate sign painter,
Yeah.
and then someone else that does the fabric lining.
Yeah, I do the fabric lining.
You do-
yeah,
you do-
yeah.
okay.
So we still do that.
Okay.
I mean, either the apprentices or I do that.
Okay.
But sometimes when I kind of develop a new style, I have to do it myself and then show them
Oh, sure.
how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it typically satin that you use, or
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean for burial we have to use satin, so it holds,
Sure.
the ice that melts from the body.
Oh, okay. So lined with ice and then satin.
No, what I mean is, the body when taken from
The morgue.
the morgue
Yeah.
is frozen.
Right. Right.
So once it's been displayed, decorated and displayed, it keeps melting.
Oh, thawing out. Yeah.
So the satin kind of
Holds it better.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Eric, can you tell me a little bit about yourself as an artist working here in the States and in Teschie and Kumasi, and maybe give some examples of the ways your work is used in each of those areas?
Yeah, I would first of all like to talk about, like Teschie, where I grew up in.
Uh-huh.
So I basically grew up in Teschie in the shop where, after school I would go to the shop and, work with the apprentices and my dad. And of course, I do have a couple of friends, that I kind of go out with, and, sometimes they'll be calling you names, like Bonyuadeka, Bonyuadeka means coffin. So, they call you by those names. So finally I got to understand, hey, if, I really want to, be in this profession, I really have to be independent, and, and that's the only way I would have my peace of mind. So a lot of people in Teschie won't buy coffin from me, and the reason would be because they know me so well, because they know they would see me as a kid, because everybody with an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to open, like have my own shop in Kumasi, where it looks totally different
Mm-hmm.
from Accra, because design coffins is originated in the Ghana community, specifically Teschie.
Uh-huh.
So, when I was moving to Kumasi, this was an idea I kind of shared with, some friends like in the US and, in other places. And what they used to tell me is, we don't think that's going to, work well, because, in Kumasi, they are not used to that and they don't know so much about that. But, I took the chances. I went to Kumasi, I went to the cultural center, met the director. I made an appointment with the director, and he told me it's unfortunate they couldn't, get me a space in the cultural center. So I went back, looked for, raised some money, went to Ejisu, rented a place there, and that's where I presently have my shop. And then also talking about my life here in the US. I mean, I've been coming to the US since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I come to the US, of course, I mean, the Ghanaian community, if, they are kind of like invited to a show, it's only a few of them who actually knows about art,
Mm-hmm.
who kind of show up.
Mm-hmm.
And, when they show up with love and, all, in them. And, I kind of really admire that.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody calls me, like a coffin maker or a carpenter or something, but, they call me artist. But I'm used to all those names, and,
Okay.
I have nothing against, those names. And
Sure.
I go in, and through that, I think my neighbors are like kind of broadening their mind,
Sure.
Yeah.
To understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Good. You mentioned a little bit of the differences between how your coffins might be used in Teschie versus Kumasi. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so in Teschie, most of the time the whole idea behind the coffin was, like I said, like through the palanquin and also the status of the deceased. So, in Teschie, you wouldn't be able to use a coffin which is in the form of an eagle easily. I mean, it's not allowed.
Sure.
It's forbidden. You have to represent something before you would be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the same idea or intentions to Kumasi. In Kumasi, it's mostly going to be, like the fun part of the work. And that's where I would say that's where the art part is going to come in, because,
Sure.
like in Teschie, when they come, they already have an idea. So they would come and say, hey, we want an eagle. Hey, we want that. we want this. So it was you. So you being the coffin maker or the artist, you only have a little chance of deciding or changing the design they come with.
Sure, sure.
But in Kumasi, I'm trying to like, though they would have an idea of like what they want, but I don't want to stick to this whole idea of the family comes in and they tell you what they want and then you build that for them.
So you have more freedom in
Yes,
Kumasi.
that's what I kind of want to do. So we would be able to broaden what we do, and then also to extend. I mean, like when people come in, I would like to know the story part of the disease.
Sure.
Because it's really interesting. I mean, some people have got some really fun part of their life. I mean, the person is dead, but if we really want to celebrate the person, I think it starts with the story of the person. I kind of start with a form, like build like a structure of it, and then from there I join little pieces of wood. So you could see from the inside how these pieces of wood has been joined together. After getting everything together, I kind of have to make sure I get rid of the joint. So after sanding and painting, I kind of repeat that process for like 3 or 4 times just to get rid of all the joints to be visible. But if you can see from the inside, I mean, it's like you could see all the joints.
Sure.
Yeah.
So 3 coats of the joint compound.
Yeah. Kind of 3, 4, depending on how rough it is. There are some of the coffins I kind of have to join little pieces of wood, so something like the B. You could see from the inside. It's really tiny little pieces of wood put together.
Yeah.
So that actually takes like 4 to 5 coats of the joint compound and painting to get rid of all the joints. Yeah. So that's a white satin fabric, and there is a foam under it. Usually in Ghana, I basically use the same thing, and the reason I use the satin and the foam is because if the body has been kept in the freezer for a couple of months and weeks or whatever, so once they bring them out, they are kind of defrosting. So it's the satin and the foam kind of holds the water that comes out of the body. So that's basically what I have done here.
So very practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Eric, let's talk a little bit about identity politics, and in particular, I wanted to ask you, what is it about being a Ga artist that is both empowering and liberating and perhaps restricting with respect to your work in Ghana and your work in the US and around the world today?
Yeah. I mean, in Ghana, I mean, basically in Accra, I would wait for people to come and tell me, hey, this person died, and we need a coffin like in 2 weeks, in 1 month. And that's basically what I do. I mean, I have to build a coffin within this period of time. In Kumasi, this is a case where I'm going there where people would come, and then I would hear their stories, and then I would also like kind of build upon the story of the deceased. And once you want to, I mean, I don't want to limit myself to being only a coffin maker or a carpenter. Once you want to go out there to the world to share with people what you've got, you also have to like kind of experience what people are like kind of going through. And I kind of relate most of my stuff, especially when I'm out here in the Western world. I kind of relate my life to most of the stuff like that I build. And I would say an example would be like when I got here in Madison in 2015, I knew about the gun violence in the United States. I mean, 2014 I was in the United States, and I had a friend who owns like 8 guns, and we talked about it, and I thought like, hey, I mean, if that's how cheap you could get a gun, and that's how easy, I mean, this gun violence happens. So this is something I've been so worried about, and also that happens in schools and stuff. So I was really worried. So I spoke with Tom. Hey, Tom, I'm here in the United States, and I'm here to do residency. But of course, I don't want to just build something like a pepper or like that or this. But I want to build something that is kind of relating to how I feel.
And who's Tom?
Tom Loja is the one in charge of the art in UW Madison.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said to me, "Hey, Eric, I mean, you are an artist, and I think you have the right to feel free to do whatever you want to do." So I decided to build this coffin in the form of a gun.
Uh-huh.
And then I told him, "Do you think we could have a ceremony where we would have like some few Black Lives Matters members, so we could break this gun into two to address the issue of abolishing gun violence
right
in the United States." And also, the funny thing about this gun. So after building the gun, I was thinking of what do I do? I mean, how do I signify that? Because I mean, in Ghana, it is difficult to hear someone talk about gun, or even it's only the police you will see having a gun.
Yeah.
And in Europe, I've been in Europe for a lot of times. I mean, I've never heard of any gun, like, though it happens, but it's like once in, like, but only in the United States, it happens like almost all the time.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, so if this is related to, like the African Americans, and, because that's how most of the time it happens to them. So I painted the coffin and the American flag,
Oh, okay.
but it was made, like black and white.
Oh,
So
sure,
not
sure.
like the red and blue or something.
Sure.
I made it black and white.
Evoking the ethnic conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had a ceremony
Okay.
with some few, members of the Black Lives Matter, and then we broke the gun into two.
Good.
And I was really happy with that piece, and I was so happy with the turnout. I mean, we had like between 200 people or something
Yeah.
attending the show. And it's the same thing I'm basically, building for the residency in Iowa. Like I'm going to address issue of the environment, which is, the bee and the fireflies.
Right.
And then, and those are my experiences. I mean,
Right.
like what is going on that I have seen. And,
Right. What
you
you're
know,
interested in.
Yes.
Right. So
And-
not so much about the deceased, but what you are
Yes.
interested in.
Yes,
doing.
and that's
Good.
how I'm kind of, moving the story, and that's how it's kind of going to work in Kumasi. So basically, I'm not going to come out here and then be here alone and be doing stuff just like that, but I still want to be with my people and build upon the whole idea
Right.
of being a design coffin. So
Right.
I would love to work in Accra, in
Mhm.
Teschie, where my people would like to buy because of their status.
Right.
I would like to work in Kumasi, where people would like to buy
Sure.
because this guy actually worked so hard and he admires that, and he wants to be buried in that,
Yeah.
depending on his story.
Right.
And I would like to come out here to share with people, like give and take, like learn from them, and they also learn from me,
Right.
my experiences of
Right.
life.
So you're broadening.
life.
Good. Yeah. You're broadening the function and the form of these coffins.
Yes.
Through your role as an artist here in the States today, and in Europe, and Russia, and many other places.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you, Cory.
So you're sharpening your tools? So Stephen, do you think you'd want to be buried in a coffin like this? That one? The plane? Or a hammer? No, that one. Should I go videotape you too? So you need to tell me your names. What? Sorry. What's your name?
My name is Kojasan.
Kojasan?
Kojasan.
How old are you? 12. And what about you? Emmanuel? How old are you? 10. 10? Are you brothers?
Are you brothers?
Yeah. Are you brothers? To each other?
Come again.
Why do you work here at the shop? Don't know. What are you working on now? What is this? Is it eagle?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Do you think you'd like to be buried in one of these?
Yes.
What kind?
12.
An eagle? What about you? What would you want to be buried in? When you die? What kind? Oh, what? Emmanuel?
Yes, who has Adams only at 20%.
One again.
20%.
One again.
I don't know who boss it.
Bossman.
Who boss it?
No. Oh wow. Hey. Wow, me don't I don't know from bad.
Richard one.
Original.
Richard, I interview with her. I said no.
So David, do you think you'd want to be buried in one?
Come again.
What kind of coffin would you want to be buried in?
This one.
Yeah, what kind? What shape?
Someone who is a mother.
Oh, this one is for someone who's a mother.
Yeah. Someone who is a mother who caters well for children.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like a hen protects her chicks.
Yeah.
I see. And then this one here is for
Carpenter.
a carpenter.
Yeah. So this one is normally for only carpenters.
Okay.
And then
Blah. What is that?
the fish is for fishermen. Yeah. And we have the other ones too.
The cocoa pod is for farmers.
Cocoa farmer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because
And the corn too. Yeah, let's go. Let me see. Hold on.
it's for only cocoa farmers. Because you know in Africa we normally grow these cocoas more. And then especially in Ghana we have a lot of cocoa farmers. So this is for cocoa farmers. And this is for every farmer because in Africa every farmer grow maize. Yeah.
So what about this? Who's the gun for then?
The gun is for hunters.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Let me see. I can't quite get it.
And we have some people, they normally love guns. In their end, everything. They love guns so much.
Okay.
Whenever they die, we use the gun to bury them. And I think it's for every farmer too. It's a pepper. As you can see, it's a pepper.
Yeah.
Any other farmer. Because in Africa, if you don't grow this, you grow maize or corn. So, as you can see,
What about the eagle?
let's come again.
The eagle.
The eagle, we normally use them to bury family heads or chiefs, kings, whosoever is stronger in power. Yeah.
So the eagle is a symbol of power.
Come again.
It's a symbol of power.
Yeah, because the eagle is so powerful. So in Africa, we normally use them to bury people who are powerful. Yeah, like strong leaders. Yeah. And then we have the house too, but we are still working on it.
The house here, and then the roof is down here.
Yeah, the roof is down here. We are still working on it.
And the house is for someone who's wealthy or someone?
Yeah, whosoever is a contractor, that thing can be used. Yeah. Who builds those contractors who normally build. And then we have another issue on this very building. Because maybe I can promise my mom or my dad that I'm going to build you a house. Or I'm going to buy you a house. Let's assume by some few weeks or months, my mom or my dad is gone, dead. That house, I can promise or I can
Fulfill your promise.
yeah, fulfill my promise by buying the house coffin, this very coffin, which is a house to bury my mom, because I promised that, Mom, I'm going to buy you a house.
And this is much cheaper than a house.
It's cheaper than a house, but I just want to fulfill my promise.
Right, right.
In other terms,
Yes.
so that everyone will see that, okay, David said he's going to buy a house for his mom, and the mom just passed away. So it's like he's still willing to buy the house. So
He buys
Yeah.
the coffin.
Yeah.
The house coffin.
yeah, the house coffin to bury my mom. And
Right.
I'll be proud because I've fulfilled my promise.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Pause. Okay, tell me.
This is car.
That's a car?
Yes.
And this is a design makeup?
Yes.
Turn it sideways so I can see
This
it.
is organ. Ha! C'est mon idée.
It's a guitar for a musician.
Yes.
So before you make it on a big scale, you make a small one like this.
Not really.
This is not.
Not always.
They are just learning
I'm
something.
just teaching some small.
Oh.
Yes.
So you made this?
No, it's not him.
Oh.
It's me. It's not him.
So you're learning because you want to make coffins when you get bigger, when you get older.
I'm just teaching how to do joinings and posting.
You want to make.
He's not him who made this one. This one too.
Okay.
This is all kinds of
This is a balance.
That's a palanquin.
Yeah. In Ghana, we install a chief. This is what they normally sit in and then dance. Yeah. So as I put this small one here to signify how the whole thing is. Because whenever the chief sits in, they will just carry him on their shoulders. So we have to get 4 carriers, 4 men to carry them. So this is how to honor a chief in Ghana. To honor the chief, you must sit on it and then be dancing on it. They will be well dressed like that. They will move him across the town for all to see that this is the chosen one.
So now when someone dies, do they lie down the same way that he's, with the feet the same direction as his feet are, and his head up here?
Yeah, when someone dies, not just a man, but a chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is reserved for chiefs.
Yeah. Yes, of course. So most of the times we normally carve the chief on it.
Look for it.
Yeah. After we carve the chief sitting on it, well dressed, before we will open and then put him himself, the dead body inside. But we will just use the face and then carve him on it.
Okay. So let me clarify. Is this one made only to be a coffin, or is this made to be a palanquin and a coffin? Or is it made mostly to be a
This is an
palanquin?
coffin.
This is a coffin.
Yeah, because with
A
the
coffin
palanquin-
in the shape of a palanquin.
Yeah, it's the same shape.
Yeah.
But with the help of the cover, if it's a ring palanquin, we will not put the cover.
He sits in, down in.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he will sit in it. But because it's a coffin, you have to do the cover. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, go on. That's a cover, so I'm very good. Over to you. Committed.
So tell me about this one.
This is a pen.
Yeah.
And I think we are still working on it because we have to write
Big.
the name of the company. We are working on it.
What will you write on it?
Yeah, I will write it today.
You'll write Vic? Okay. Who is it for though?
This pen is for teachers, or secretaries, receptionists, anyone who writes with pen.
For their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If his job is only to write, this belongs to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one's for me. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
That's good.
It's for a teacher.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, teachers normally write small.
Yeah.
So whenever a teacher dies, this is what we used to bury
Nice.
for her. Yeah. So as you can see, we are still on the finishing. So I hope by all means we will finish it.
So how much do these cost? If a teacher comes in and wants to buy it, or a teacher dies and their family wants to buy it,
Moreover, you know, in Africa,
you bargain.
we don't have enough.
Oh.
We have less. Less. We don't have more money here. You know, in Africa, people are more poor. Yeah, they are more poorer than the rich people. So, as it is, it's very cheap in Africa. Very, very cheap. You can buy this maybe 2,500 Ghana cedis or 3,000. Yeah, it depends on the finishing. Yeah, because someone could come here, he will tell you, do this, add this, add this, add that. So that
costs more.
Yeah, that brings out the cost. Apart from that, it's very, very cheap. Very cheap.
Yeah, for the labor that goes into it. How long does it take to make one from start to finish?
The whole thing is, I could ask my brother, come in.
Steven? How long does it take to make one? Is that hard to say because you're always making lots at the same time?
It's been about 2 weeks to finish it.
2 weeks? And how many people working on it? 2 people?
Only me.
One person could make it in 2 weeks.
I only work here.
So if somebody dies, they need to bury quickly, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't already have the coffin that they want, what do you do? Okay. So if a fisherman comes and you don't have any fish ready, then you work together?
Then he must invite people to come and help.
Okay.
So that,
So with some help, you could do it faster.
yeah.
But it's a lot of work.
Because as for me, I believe with so many help or so much help, we can finish this within 2 weeks.
Okay.
If we have about six people on this very coffin, within 2 days. So that's how it is.
So who is the shoe for over here? I didn't get a.
Yeah, so the shoe is for a shoemaker.
Ah. I thought maybe for a businessman. Should I come back? Let me come back and see it.
A cloth cuff.
It's a what?
A cloth cuff.
Cloth.
Oh, this is cloth.
Folded cuff. Yeah.
Ah, so for a tailor? Or someone who sells cloth?
Cloth seller.
So all of these bundles will have different designs on them?
Yeah.
That will be complicated to paint. Have you ever made one like this before?
Yeah. So
I've never seen one like this.
yeah. Don't worry. We have some on the.
Oh, you have a photo?
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Okay.
All right. Okay, show me how it opens. So this is for a shoemaker.
Yeah.
Ah, very nice.
Hey, but then
So this shows how pieces of wood
Yeah, so
So you join the
we
wood
have to be at
together.
yeah, so you can see this is how it is.
Then I close it.
Oh, my battery ran out. But it's not strange to you to think that.
Because I used to artwork, we have let's say people are there, you go in and learn it. But I mean, from my childhood, I used to do some drawings, small. After when I finished school, and my mom said no. My son, no, this is what you have been doing since your child. So no, right now you just go into it and see what you can do. So I just went there and everything is set.
So I don't quite understand. She didn't want you to be an artist?
Me?
Yeah. When she said no, she meant you need to focus in on.
No, actually, okay. Let me come back.
Yeah, come back.
After when I finished schooling, my mom asked me first, okay, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I said no. Mommy, actually, I used to do this one small drawing, so I just want to go in. And my mom just said, okay, this thing you have been doing it since your childhood. So why can't you go in since you said it?
I see.
Yeah, so that's where it started.
Because you love it. You do? You think you'll do this your whole life?
Yeah, I have to do it now.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. Because it's wonderful. Because it's great, right?
yeah.
That's wonderful. Seth, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29. Were you born here in Accra? In Teschie?
Yeah, and this my hometown.
And this what?
This my hometown.
This is your hometown. Do commissions come from out of town? When people want design coffins, are they from this area, or do they order them?
And
are they from far away?
Have ordered everything here. Others to when, let's say something like people used to live here. So let's say when they travel, let's say to Kumasi or Takrady and so on. After when they travel, because they know that no, they have been doing something here. So when someone dies, then they will tell you that no, someone used to do this type of coffins over here. So let's come to Accra. Yeah.
So they come back.
So they do come back. So after when we finished everything, then they will take it to them.
So the workshop in Kumasi came later. This one came first?
Yeah, came later. That one came later.
Do you think there will be more workshops?
Yeah.
It will keep growing?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many commissions do you get a week? One a week?
Come again, please.
How often do you get a commission? From people who want to buy, how often do people buy coffins? Say in a week or a month?
Oh, actually, if let's see, okay, in a week.
Okay. So one a week?
Yeah, like completing everything or when they are ordering.
A finished coffin.
Okay.
Somebody comes and buys it.
Oh, okay. In a week.
Uh-huh.
I can say in a week.
Okay, so one a week. Okay. Hello.
How do you mean?
He's okay. It's okay. Okay, what's your name? Richmond? What's your full name? Your family name? How old are you? 25? How long have you been working here? You gotta speak loudly. 3 years? Do you think you'll stay here? Why did you decide to come? To work here. You've worked 2 years. And what do you do here at the workshop? What is your job here at the workshop? Mm-hmm. So what do you do? Do you do the building or the painting or the... You do what? Building in wood. Do you think you would like to be buried in a... Yeah? What kind? Ama? What's ama? The stool? Oh, hammer. Sorry. You want to be buried in a hammer? Because you build. That makes sense. What was your favorite coffin that you've made? Did you help build that one? You did? Good. Let's see. And how did you decide to be a builder? How did you decide that?
Because my father is a carpenter.
Your friends brought you? Nice. Okay, good. Your name and how old you are?
I am Moses Bejim.
How old are you?
I'm 25 years old.
25. How long have you worked here?
Pardon?
How long have you worked at the workshop?
Right is 1.5 years now. As I've come here, right is 1.5 years.
Say it again.
I said 1.5 years that I've been
Oh,
to
1.5 years.
Yeah.
1.5 years. And why did you come?
Pardon?
Why did you come work here?
Why did I come and work? Oh, I've seen the work is very interesting to learn. It's also thing that will learn with our hand. And what I do is I know that I can get up with something that I can build in future work, so I'll be doing it.
So you see a future in it?
Yeah, that's why I also start learning it. But he said me that I don't have any work doing, so I said, no, let me put myself into this carpentering work so that I can come out with how what I'll go and do and get the map done to do. That's why I just let me come and also learn it.
So, so you just came and said, I want to learn this?
Pardon?
You just came and said, I want to learn?
Yeah, I just came in.
And they said, okay. And how, let's see, you've been here 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Are you still learning then? Are you
I'm still
still,
learning.
this is an apprenticeship?
Yeah, apprenticeship.
How long were you apprentice for?
So far now, they are teaching me how to take a measurement, then how to measure it. Maybe you are going to do this thing like this curve, how you do it. They'll tell me, put it here, this is the measurement you take. Also learning the small.
Yeah, yeah. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Anang.
And tell me, who is your...
My father is Kandekwe, the famous coffin maker in Ghana.
And then he gave the workshop to you?
Yeah, after I worked with my father for some time before my father passed away, so I became the next of kin.
You worked here in the workshop?
Yeah, I worked with my father for about almost 20 years before my father passed away. So after my father, I take over the workshop.
Tell me, how did he get the idea to make design coffins?
Oh, okay, my father was working with his senior brother on construction and furniture work in Kumasi. Before he left Kumasi to Accra, he started working in his own workshop in my mother's family house. Later on, people saw how he does his work. One man that from his family is a fisherman. They tried to see him to do something similar to the fishing. So he tried to do a fish coffin. Later, many people saw it, they appreciate it. One of my grandfather told that he's a cocoa farmer. So he became he managed to do that. From that onwards, people were coming. One of our old lady died. He said he want to travel by air, but he never got this chance. So when he died, the family decided to do aeroplane to bury him.
Is this one already ordered, or is this for the showroom? Is this one already commissioned?
Yeah.
Somebody's coming for this one? And is this the last step?
Yeah.
You're almost done? So what do you think about these being in an exhibition?
I mean, some 2 years, 3 years time, she will come and buy other ones too. I mean, the one we will do one in the showroom, she will come and buy them. So
What's it like?
The people they will play music.
They play music?
Yeah. Then we go around and check it.
Like a parade.
What's it there?
And then everyone sees the coffin. And then everybody sees the coffin.
Yeah, everybody is.
Good advertising. So when you have a funeral, then it's like advertising.
Yeah. What? Mom, now we're going to do it on it. You have been on it.
So that comes after carving. So first you shape the wood, put it together, and then
So after that, then you use some paper or everything.
sandpaper.
Some paper. Then when you some paper finish, then you will have the hot. That's the feel. So when you fill out everything, then you some paper again, like the way you do. So after that, then you apply paint
With airbrush.
with a brush first. Then after that, when you finish, you get to see that no, that still there is holes inside. So you have to put it again. Then after that, then when you some people are everything again, then you spray.
This one's a candle. Will it be white? Will it be white? A white candle when it's done.
Aboafo a mode da emu no nso ma ye na mo nso momme ho ma ye. Aboafo a mode da emu no nso momme ho bi ma ye na mommoa. Me ho bra fumo broni bi. Ya we shem to the kwan. Ya was so send ya na che. Ya se hebo shem na kan ka. Me ho bra fumo broni bi. So de so lui bien fait mais comme open so wa a o jane koso so rien de en connu ne mo ne so en trois so solide
or how tiny at your trim, and now war abom. Was this a young beba? A befan Libya for coffee, or then the Tumisha crab thing. Why more? You ye Beshamasuna, ye no more yena recosi yana kopo kulo Wana Rosas Recoso my no more recoso my no more Jericho yena recosi yon a eyefe no mo yena recosi yon yanko ponkulo Happiness in Friday home. Oh, the no that be. The patient one point on fefe home. Oh, the no that be na ye be. One point on fefe home. Wa eni don riri biako ye eni cheke se kon
fi otom seno sa me boni ina echi me free we so boni pecha o kuto na wo jipa Teschie.
Radias, my boy.
Nishira ahete uyena hu odeno ayo fefe ya befo wakabari uni o zayo fefe ya befo wakabari uni mo zayo fefe Wavye, adini na wavye yo. Wavye, beneni na wavye dia.
White lady. Na, ya meje ushira bebe guso. Sa un pesa guso na boka. Na mishiramu. Mishiramu sa say
Flowers in normal fankai. Oh, Jesus Christ, Amen. Amen.